Hi there. In this episode, we'll be covering, can self-published books be sold in stores? The short answer is yes. Yes, self-published books can be sold in stores. It's super powerful when they are. At the same time, there's things that need to happen in order for those self-published books to appear. They don't just magically appear on their own. By the end of this video, you'll learn all about book distribution, why selling on Amazon, it's not good enough, and the power of local connections and direct relationships. And stay tuned until the end of the video for an opportunity I really think you're going to enjoy. Let's dive in. One of the most interesting moments of my career as a book writer and ghostwriter came a couple years ago when I walked into my local bookstore and I was looking at the business books, and lo and behold, there was a book that I ghost wrote sitting on the shelf. It was a self-published book, and it was under the radar, we'll say. Didn't sell a ton of copies. It was a bestseller nationally, but it wasn't super popular, and yet, here's this book on a bookshelf, I don't know, 1,000 miles away from the author. It was a weird feeling. It was an interesting feeling to see that. Here's a self-published book at a bookstore. So the short answer is yes. But you need to really think about how that book got there. And that book got there because of distribution. The book got there because it was distributed through a company called Ingram Spark, which is very popular in the book world. Everybody thinks about Amazon with book sales. Great. You put your book on Amazon, you sell a bunch of copies, you're a #1 Amazon new book in your category, you're a bestseller, yada, yada, yada. Great. None of that matters to bookstores. None of it. They don't pay attention to it. They don't track it. They're not interested in it. Yes, if your book is a New York Times bestseller or something of that nature, which is possible, but unlikely with self-published books, there's things that you need to do in order to get your book into bookstores. And the thing that you need to do is get it distributed outside of Amazon through Ingram Spark. Just because you're selling on Amazon only focuses on the Amazon ecosystem. Everything else, bookstores, libraries, other places, work through Ingram Spark. So if you were interested in getting your book distributed to local bookstores, it needs to be an Ingram Spark or a similar platform. This is where local bookstores get their books from. This is where Barnes & Noble gets their books from. If a book is not listed in Ingram Spark, it will not appear most likely in Barnes & Noble. But within Ingram Spark, there's all these little things that you need to do as well, like allow for returns. One of the things that happens when you traditionally publish a book or when you distribute a book through an Ingram Spark is that bookstores and other places will order your book and they will put it on the bookshelf. And if it doesn't sell, they have to send it back. And then you are charged for that send back. So you need to be able to allow for returns. Allowing for returns is going to make it more likely for a bookstore to buy your book, to sell. If you don't allow for returns and they're just sitting on inventory that they can't move, they're not going to be interested in stocking your book. So you need to be able to allow for it to be sent back if it doesn't end up selling. It's those little hidden things, those pieces that come into play when bookstores decide whether or not to make a purchase of a specific title. It's interesting. I live in New York, just north of New York City, and there's a bookstore a couple minutes from my house in walking distance. It's called Bronx River Books. And they work through Ingram Spark. So if there's a copy of a book that they are interested in selling, they buy it through Ingram Spark. If I end up wanting to buy a book that I pick up at their bookstore, it's sold through Ingram Spark. This is whole process at play. So by nature, by default, if you're interested in selling your book through bookstores, you can be in Ingram Spark, and that allows for that distribution. Obviously, if there's a local angle, you can then drop off your book, but it's a lot more fun to be able to order it and have it in the system, in the pipeline, than it is randomly showing up with books. Hey, I got some books. It's not as exciting. Direct relationships matter too. It's really meaningful to be able to build those relationships, to push for your book, to call about it, to get other people to call about it, because book sellers are going to be more inclined to buy a book if they're getting people reaching out about it. When they're getting calls about it, they'll say, oh yeah, okay, we'll stock this now. And that's exciting. One of the things that really made me feel good when I went to my bookstore, the Bronx River Books, recently, I had signed a number of hardcover copies. I did a book launch event there when a baseball book I wrote about a player named Ken Caminiti came out in 2022. It was called Playing Through the Pain. Did a book signing there. It was really special. And I had 4 or 5 hardcover copies left. And the last time I went there, they had a softcover copy, a paperback copy. I did not give them that copy. That did not come through. So they sold that book somehow. I think it was by somebody that I ran into at the bookstore that bought the book. Either way, they bought another copy of the book, which made me feel really good. So we at least sold out our initial run. I'm hopeful to keep pushing that. But, you can buy local and buy it at your local bookstore. And these booksellers can keep supplying through these platforms. If you want to learn more about can self-published books be sold in stores, there's another video I recorded I want you to check out. It's called How to Get Your Self-Published Book Noticed. That video goes much deeper on the metadata, the information that you need to input, the process to upload, promoting your book, bringing it forward, all of the pieces that are so easily overlooked or overshadowed or missed. All those things are covered in that video. So if you're interested in learning more about getting visibility for your book and helping it get to that next level, definitely check out the video. Remember, a good book can change your life. I'm Dan Good. Thanks for watching.